We're the MMA analysts. Let's talk Adesanya versus Imavov. I'm Julian.
I'm Calvin.
I gotta say, this is not the best fight night, but it's okay. Like, this is like one of those solidly okay fight nights where I can't be mad about it. I'm kind of interested in a few of the fights, but like, let's be real here. The prelims are not that great.
I agree. I'm excited for this card, and I'm excited for some of the fights on it, way more than others, but this is honestly not the best card, and I've never been super excited for Saudi Arabia cards, and...
They're the worst. Can we just talk about that for a sec?
Let's do it.
Saudi Arabia cards, like, they're just... and also, you just know that they're going to have the most corrupt judging, too, there, and, like, they just...
Yeah.
The times are terrible for everybody. They're bad for the fighters, like... I don't know, they never feel right. You know what I mean? They never feel like
right.
they should.
The times just don't seem right for the fighters. The scorecards never seem correct. I feel like whenever someone travels there, a lot of times they have weight cut issues, and I feel like it's just...
Very true.
Just feels wrong. It just doesn't feel... I don't know. And the crowds just don't really react to anything that happens. It doesn't feel like I'm watching UFC.
It's the worst part, man. Like, there's no... Maybe there are some real UFC fans in Saudi Arabia, but mostly people who go there are just insanely rich, like, oil family members. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It's just... The vibe there is not the move, but... What can we do? All right, well, I guess we should get into the prelims. The super exciting prelims. Take us away, Colin.
Okay, let's get in this. Pogues versus Hamdy.
Hype matchup.
This is a heavyweight, if I remember correctly. This is going to be interesting.
This is the chubby and tubby battle here.
I've watched one fight of Hamdy's in preparation for this. Wow. He looked... He just didn't perform very well. Doesn't look that very good. Now, I'm not saying Pogues is much better, but I will say that Pogues at least showcased some grappling technique, and he seemed to have maybe not the best chin on him, but he seemed to have some decent movement, and his hands looked at least a little bit heavy. I have just not seen enough from Hamdy yet, and Pogues has a bit more experience, and he's just a bit bigger overall. So I'm going to go Jamal Pogues, and I'm just going to say first round KO. As a lot of time I go with these heavyweights. It's more of a 50-50 fight. This really could just go either way when it's at this kind of inexperienced skill level.
Definitely. This seems kind of like one of those fights where, like, Pogues has shown some skills in some areas, and someone hasn't. You know what I mean? Like, this seems like one of those fights, so... I mean, yeah, probably maybe like a ground and pound TKO type of thing, something like that. I can see that happening for Pogues.
Yeah.
Definitely.
All right. Next, Bogdan versus Lucas, I believe.
Bogdan Grad versus Lucas Alexander. Dude, nobody knows a thing about Bogdan.
No.
All right, you guys, like, we actually care about this sport. Good luck finding any MMA YouTubers who actually have something to say about this Bogdan, all right? That's all I'm going to say here. He's a nobody. Nobody.
Want to know overall career? I couldn't even find the fight. I don't know why it's nowhere to be found. Couldn't find it. I do know Lucas a bit. I've actually watched 2 of his fights. That was pretty interesting. He looks fine. That's the best way to describe him. He has good reach. I'm just going to go with Lucas here. This is a very kind of who knows who the hell's going to win at this level pick, but Bogdan just seems super inexperienced, and Lucas does have an advantage with his reach and his height, so I just am going to go with him on this one, and also just having more experience.
Yeah, unfortunately, this is not a fight that most people can make a great pick in, just being real here, but you just have to go with the more tested, proven guy that you know more about in this situation. Like, we didn't follow Bogdan on his regional scene, sorry about that, but for now, we can't really have faith in him. We'll see what he does.
We'll see what he proves. Maybe he'll prove a lot in this.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, what's the next one?
Pretty exciting matchup, actually. I think this could be a good fight. We have Jasmine Jasudavicius versus Mayra Bueno. I think these are actually 2 of the better women fighting right now, and even though Mayra Bueno might be on her way out, she's actually pretty proven against people, and she did really well against Raquel Pennington, right? Who's the champ now, even though, Raquel Pennington's not that good. But, that's where we are right now, you guys. But, I don't know, I understand why people are going with Jasmine here, I really do. She's that Canadian prospect everybody wants, she actually does look decently good, but I'm sorry, guys, let's not forget something about Canadian prospects. They're not very good most of the time. And also, let's not forget that Jasmine got fucked up by Tracy Cortez. I'm sorry, that is just not a good look, especially when you're going against someone who actually has fought championship caliber people. I have to go with Mayra Bueno here.
I 100% agree with everything you just said. I just think she's fought at a more championship level caliber, and I think that she's just been a little bit more proven overall. I think she's going to get this done. I think it really is going to be a really close fight, and I could see Jasmine just pulling it off pretty easily. Who knows? I think this really could be either a really close fight or one of their styles is going to overcome the other. And I'm just going to lean Silva on this one. I'm going to just go by decision. I'm just feeling decision on this one.
Yeah, probably. I do think Mayra Bueno is probably a bit past her prime. I don't really see her putting away Jasmine. I see Jasmine doing well, but I just think the cardio and physicality and grappling is just not going to be there for her. But we'll see.
Agreed. Next, we're going to go Ziam versus Davis. And I'm pretty interested in this fight. Both of these guys are pretty good, honestly. I think that Davis will push Ziam a lot against the cage, and I think he's gonna get him against the cage pretty easily. I think he has a bit more of a reach advantage. I think he has decent enough power, along with pretty decent wrestling. I think they might be the same level of well-roundedness, honestly. But I think that he's gonna get this. I think his power is just a little bit better, and I know Ziam got it over Frivola, and it was a really cool knee KO. He just didn't impress me that much before that, and he was really just kind of hugging against the cage and getting nowhere before that.
Also, Frivola, is a bit of an aura merchant. He looks cooler than he actually fights, you know? We love Frivola, too. He's cool, but, beating Frivola isn't really that big of a deal. Ziam has a lot of hype behind him.
Yeah.
I have never really seen much from Ziam to understand all that hype, but, I'm still willing to see. I'm still willing to, keep an eye on him, but so far, I'm not super convinced about him either. I'm going to be real.
Yeah. I just think also that Davis just has better hands, and I just think that he's going to get this one, honestly. I really see it.
Yeah.
Okay, next is who? McKinney versus Damir?
It depends what got canceled. I think that's the next fight. Yeah, it looks like it is. Yeah, Terrance McKinney versus Damir. Oh my gosh. This all depends on his chin.
This all depends on his chin. I think Terrance McKinney might be a slightly better striker overall.
Probably.
And has I think he has the better range here, but I just think that his chin is just not very consistent as of late.
It's not it.
Actually, it is consistent. It's consistently getting him knocked out. And I really just think that his hype is way better than what he actually is. And I think Damir's has a better chin, and he also has power, decent amount of power in his hands. And I just think that, unfortunately, McKinney's just going downhill.
Yeah, I hate to say it, but there was a time in UFC, maybe even in lightweight, where you could get away with having a bad chin. But nowadays, the level is just going up and up, and especially the average striking level, boxing level, finishing instincts. All these things are going up, as an average in the entire sport, even outside the rankings with these guys. And man, more and more people with bad chins are just going to get thin from the herd, you guys. This is just going to keep getting worse and worse as the striking level gets better. As soon as you lose your chin, officially, you're not going to be able to go far anymore, man. Not like you used to. So it's hard to pick McKinney on this one. But he still might get it done. He is better. I do think he's a bit better.
Yeah, I think he is.
All right, next up, we got the fan favorite. We got Shamil Gaziev versus Thomas Petersen. At least on my list, that's next.
Okay, let's go with that one. Yep, I think I have that one too.
Yeah, so I am not really a big part of the Shamil super hype fan base, but I do think he's better in this matchup. I do think he will get it done. He's probably just a little bit better all around. I think you said it well earlier. He's just bigger and better, more tested right now. And at heavyweight, that's really all you need, especially for someone who's just some random other blob like
He's
Thomas.
got a decent size advantage, honestly. I think he's 6'3". I think Damir. I think this other not Damir.
Thomas Petersen.
I think Thomas Petersen's 6'1" or 6 foot. I just think he's got the size. He's got more experience. He's 18-1. He did gas out in his fight to a finish. He finished himself by gassing. That was
legendary. Well, that's why everyone loves him so much, right? Didn't that finish get him a lot of fans?
It did.
He just gassed himself out. Everyone just fell in love with the man. I don't know. I think UFC fans can kind of relate with that. You know what I'm saying?
I think we all can a little bit. Especially
we've all been there. We've all been there.
You know. Second round, ate too much the night before.
It happens. Sometimes you just you don't clutch up, but sometimes you do. And in this case, I think Shamil will be clutching up with this one. I think he's just better.
I think he's gonna get this. I think he's got this.
Yeah, no memes about Shamil, guys. He's probably just the better pick on this one. All right. To the main card now.
Okay.
We got Muhammad Naimov versus Kaan Ofli. I'm gonna be real with you guys. When I first saw this and I saw the name Kaan Ofli, I was like, that sounds like some random Viking from a fable. I had never heard this man in my life. And after looking into it a bit, I think that he's probably not going to win this one. No. I totally agree that Naimov is just a better fighter right now. And I actually think Naimov is pretty good and has some potential. I think Naimov is someone I think we should keep an eye on, to be honest.
Yeah.
He's not that amazing right now, but he's got a good base. He's athletic, and I think he could go far. And honestly, I can't say the same for Kaan Ofli right now, you guys. But, we'll see. He's got a cool name.
Ofli just hasn't impressed me very much. I just haven't seen a lot of stuff that's really looking good. And Naimov has actually looked pretty good. I just think he's going to get this one done. I think he got this.
He just looks better.
He does look better. He just looks a little bit more crisp, and he just looks a little more refined.
Sometimes with these kind of fights, you just have to go to the eye test.
All right. Aliskerov versus Muniz.
Aliskerov versus Muniz? That's not even on mine. All right. Well,
we're going to go with that.
Yeah.
Aliskerov versus Muniz. Hopefully this fight's not canceled. I really hope it's not.
I hope it's not. It's not on the UFC website, but I'm hoping that the UFC website is just lacking.
Me too. I think this fight is going to be really good. I think Muniz got this, actually. I know that Aliskerov is going to probably be the favorite in this fight, and I know that people are going to think that he's just really hot shit, especially because he has fought Robert Whittaker. I think he just pushed that fight way too soon.
He was.
He was KO'd brutally.
And when does Robert Whittaker KO people brutally in the first round? I'm sorry, I love Robert Whittaker, but guys, he got big skill checked. It happens sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Muniz got this. I think the reach disadvantage is pretty big too. I think it's like 75 to 78. That's a pretty big reach disadvantage.
That's enough. That's enough.
And I think, I think his chin is up there too. And I think his grappling isn't at a level where Aliskerov is going to expose him for it. I think Muniz is going to keep on the outside and probably just get a 3-round decision.
Yeah, I've always thought Aliskerov was kind of overrated. Like, I think he might do well, and I think he'll, continue to win some and lose some in the UFC, and I think he'll keep up with people. But I'm not really on the Aliskerov hype train so far, and I think I've seen Muniz look good, and I've seen him put away people, and I've seen him hurt people, and I've seen him just, just strike. I've seen him hurt people. So I think Aliskerov is getting hurt again in this one.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
All right.
I'm gonna go decision. Third decision.
Third decision?
Yep.
I'll just say third round knockout. Why not?
Very
Why
well.
not? I can see it happening. All right. This one, at least next for me, I think this is going to be the banger of the night. This is the one that I think has the potential to be the best fight in the card, and that is Said Nurmagomedov versus Vinicius Oliveira.
Yeah.
Two really good fighters who we are keeping our eyes on because both of these guys are probably good enough to be in the rankings or will be at some point.
Yeah.
And they both have good finishing instincts. They both look like they have some decent endurance. They both have all-around skills. This is a great matchup you guys want to keep your eyes on here, all right? Don't just tune in for the main event. This is worth the main card, you guys, seriously.
It really is. They're both really experienced in striking and grappling. I think that Said is maybe a bit behind on the grappling here.
Probably. It's hard to say that.
But I think he's got this when it comes to the striking. I just think he's a little more refined and he's a little bit better at keeping his range. And I think he's actually not too far off from like Umar Nurmagomedov, but with how he kind of fights, I think he's kind of somewhere in that vein with his takedowns, those other things he incorporates in. But I do think his kicks and his jab are very elite and pristine. And while I know that you might be going a different way with this, I think he's just going to be able to keep him at bay. I think he's going to be able to really slow down the entire fight, which he does in a lot of his fights. He really sets it to his level. And I haven't really quite seen, that doesn't mean he always wins when it's at his level, but I have seen him kind of lower the level of the fight a bit, and I think he's going to be able to do that here. I also think that when it comes to Oliveira? Yeah, Oliveira's, when it comes to his grappling, I think it's good. But I think that he can kind of get caught up in scrambles sometimes, and I think Said is someone that can take advantage of mistakes really easily. He did that just against Gaziev, and he did that against one other person, I can't remember. But he's really good at catching submissions off mistakes and like things that you're doing wrong, and I think that Oliveira might push himself into a problem like there. So I think that he might like get into a kind of a hairy situation, and then I think he won't shoot again. I think Said will kind of just keep him on the outside for the third round decision. Man, you make some great points there, but I have to say, I think I'm just still slightly leaning with Vinicius. Like, to me, this is almost a 50-50 fight because they have very similar stories right now and sort of similar skill sets, and they're both getting a lot of finishes and some decisions, so this is exciting. But the reason I'm kind of leaning with Vinicius is because even though I do agree that Said is a more precise kickboxer, he's got better straight shots that definitely could nullify Vinicius' pressure, I just think that Vinicius is so good at turning things into a war and an absolute scrap, and he's so good at making things chaotic. And I just watched the Jonathan Martinez fight the other day, and Said was just kind of getting worked, and Martinez is really good, but Said looked to me like he was mentally breaking, and I feel like if he's doing really, really well with the points, but he's still getting tagged with big hooks from Oliveira, that might kind of mentally defeat him a little bit, and that might make him throw less. And these Dagestanis guys, like a lot of these Russians, like they are so good when they're doing good, and as soon as things aren't working, like they just look a little shook to their core, So this might be one of those, but it's pretty 50-50. I think it'll be a finish personally, like a second or third round finish. I think it'll be an amazing fight no matter who wins, but I think I'm leaning with Vinicius Oliveira. I think he's going to find a way to get the finish, just with a big hook or a knee or an elbow or just something like that, honestly. Fair enough. I think Said's going to get the third round decision in this one, so I guess we'll see. I could definitely see that. All right, next. Sergei Pavlovich versus Jairzinho Rozenstruik. Another exciting matchup here. This is a very exciting matchup. These are two big, heavy hitters. Rozenstruik has a very fabled kickboxing career and career in the UFC. I think he still has I think he still may have the most KOs in heavyweight history right now, or currently in the roster. Or no, it's Derek Lewis. It's Derek Lewis. It's always Derek Lewis. Who was it then? I think Rozenstruik might be close then. I think he's up there, but Derek Lewis is just built different. Oh, you're right. It is Derek Lewis. Yeah. But no, he's up there, and I think he has actually really, long-standing history of being a very decent, middle-of-the-road heavyweight who is not definitely a Kaan or definitely not a blob. Right, he's better than a Kaan. Skilled. Yeah, he's definitely skilled. He's got a bit of blob, but he's got more skill than blob. But I think that we're looking at a Sergei that's coming back from a loss against Volkov and a loss against Aspinall. KO and kind of a dominant performance from Volkov. And I think that two things happened in those fights. One, I think that he was completely unprepared for Tom Aspinall's speed and for his athleticism. And two, I think he was worried to throw and get KO'd again against Volkov. And I also think he wasn't prepared for the range. and I think that's really what affected him in this fight. Rosenstruck is a little smaller than Pavlovich. He has less reach than Pavlovich. And he just feels like that guy that's on Pavlovich's fucking highlight reel that I haven't seen yet. I really think that he might just get this done.
Yeah.
And it might just be by a first-round KO somewhere in the first minute and 20 seconds. And we're just going to see that. I'd love to see a war, but I just am not sure we're going to get it.
Most heavyweight fights are very simple, unfortunately. Yeah. Most heavyweight fights, especially in the top 15 when there are some skills, you can really just break it down and see what's going to happen. I would be very surprised if Jairzinho got this one done. The way that Jairzinho fights, he's good. He has some kickboxing skills. He's got some leg kicks. He's got some good moves. But the thing is, he is part of this last generation of heavyweight striking where it's like he just has a few decent moves and that's all you need. You know, he's decently strong, he's decently big. He doesn't need anything more than a few good moves. Sergei Pavlovich actually has good boxing for the division, and Jairzinho doesn't have good evasive footwork. He doesn't have good head movement. He doesn't have high-level boxing defense. He doesn't have anything that he needs to not get caught in this fight. And so when you look at Sergei and the fact that he can finish people, especially people who are not top tier like Jairzinho, it's hard not to think he's just going to KO him in the first, second round.
Yeah.
That's all I have to say about that. It's just simple.
I think Sergei's going to get it done, and he's going to be back. He's going to be back to winning ways.
Yeah, I think so too. And maybe he'll lose to Volkov again and get KO'd by Tom again or something like that. Who knows?
We'll see what happens.
All right, next up we have...
I'd like to see him versus Ciryl Gane. That's what I'd like to see next.
Yeah.
If he beats
I agree.
I think Ciryl Gane versus Sergei Pavlovich is the fight to make.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you said that because that is absolutely the fight to make after he wins this. And that's an interesting one. I am not quite sure. I'm not quite sure about that one. I'll have to think about it more.
We'll have to see how he performs in this one.
Anyway. Moving on to another exciting striking matchup, we got Shara just a Shara. Anyway, Shara Magomedov. I guess we're not calling him Shara Putin anymore. Just Shara Magomedov now because it's easier for the fans probably, right? Versus MVP, Michael Venom Page.
All right.
I just like to put it out there that I believe in MVP to beat Kevin Holland. I believe that he will do well in the UFC. But I think it's pretty clear they're giving him easy matchups so far because there's a lot of people in the division that definitely will whoop him. But I think this is a matchup where it's like they want MVP to win, and I think that he will get this one done. I really do. How about you?
I think the UFC is actually trying to push Shara Magomedov, to be honest. I think it's the opposite way around. I think they're trying to give him MVP because they think that his striking...
doing both. I think it's like a win-win scenario, because people love MVP too.
I don't think so, because I think MVP is not going to do anything else at middleweight, which he said, and this fight is taking place at middleweight, and Shara's not dropping down to welterweight anytime soon. So I think they're really just trying to set Shara up and have MVP have a loss he can justify at middleweight before he moves on to the rest of welterweight. But I think that this fight is a mistake for the UFC, because I think they like Shara, especially after that double spinning back fist KO, which was really clean.
It was beautiful.
I think that they're trying to push him, and I think that this was a mistake. I think MVP is very good at welterweight, and he's very fast, he's very athletic. I think his chin might be a little bit too out there, and I think he could be caught. I think his chin will be way better at 185. It's definitely way less of a weight cut. He performs good at 185. He's going to be just as long. He's going to hit harder, which MVP already still hits hard for his age. I think this is a bad matchup for Shara. I think he drops his left hand a lot, and I think when he kind of gets into a scrap and he thinks he's about to get started, he lowers his hands from here to here. And I think that MVP, the way that he goes in with that 2 really quick, I really think it's there for him all day, and I think he's just going to find the angle, and I think it's going to be a really good KO or TKO, and I just think he's going to get this one done. I
agree. My main issue with picking Shara in this fight is that I do think he's a good striker, but there's a good group of middleweight strikers right now that are like, they're all good strikers, but I just don't see them actually going to the top. I don't see them actually being top tier strikers. They are just good all around, mostly strikers, right? And Shara's one of these new guys. MVP too. The difference with MVP is that he does not fight like anybody else in the UFC. Everyone compares him to Wonder Boy and the other karate people. He doesn't fight like Wonder Boy. Like MVP completely has point kickboxing style karate, whereas Wonder Boy was more of like Kempo, right? So what MVP does is he fights not even outside. He doesn't even fight at kicking range. He fights outside kicking range. Shara Putin is not ready for someone like that. Like I've yet to see Shara have like a fast move in or entry type of situation that actually impresses me. You know what I mean? Like I've yet to see Shara move in and out in a way where I think that he can land substantially MVP. And I think this is just going to be a classic MVP fight where he's just 1,000 miles away, occasionally throwing shots. It's not that exciting. And Shara is just going to be really confused. And I think that if Shara has wrestling, he might go to it because I just don't see him having the answer for MVP's a weird style where he fights from 10 miles away. Like Shara is not that fast. He doesn't have crazy KO power. He doesn't have crazy entries. He's not super dynamic with his footwork. Like he's just a solid kickboxer, you know?
I agree. I really think that Shara's a really solid kickboxer with his hands too low for someone as big. He's way bigger than Shara, I believe.
He's long.
That's bigger, longer, faster.
Yeah, way faster.
And just more experienced and skilled.
Yeah, sometimes the Bellator fighters are good. This is one of those rare occasions, guys.
I'm predicting a second round or late first round KO. That's my prediction for this fight.
I really like an early second round KO for this. I think that I think that MVP, to be honest, is going to have something to prove in this fight because, especially fighting against Shara in Saudi Arabia, I think MVP is going to be here to say, I am going to keep winning. I'm not just here to win 1 or 2 or 3 fights in the UFC and dip. I'm here to go on a streak. And I'm sure that, he wants to go for the belt. I don't think it's going to happen, but maybe he'll say something like that, So I think, second round KO is probably a good call for this.
All right. Next to the main event.
The main event of the evening.
Israel Adesanya versus Nassourdine Imavov. All right.
Weird matchup, to be honest.
Weird matchup.
Took me a while to decide on this one.
This is a very difficult one for me. At first glance, I would have gone Adesanya when I first saw this fight. Imavov hasn't showcased that much greatness to me in terms of him matching up well with him. And as the month went on, from when I heard this going on, and then a month after that, and then the last couple weeks I've been trying to pick, I've been rewatching a lot of Imavov's fights and Adesanya's fights. This fight is really close.
It's really close. Very, very close. The first time I saw it, same as you, I was just like, Israel should get it. And then the more I looked into Imavov, the more I'm like, Imavov might have the durability and the pressure and the grappling and the boxing to get it done. But ultimately, I don't think he has the cardio. I don't think he has the endurance to put the pressure on Izzy the way that you need to beat Izzy, like we saw with Dricus, right? I don't think he has that same level of physicality and cardio that Dricus has. And I think that Izzy will be able to defend the takedowns, at least enough of them. And I think that he won't get submitted unless he gives us back, which he might do, which is what I'm kind of worried about here. But I'm having faith in Izzy to work on that, not give us back for free like he did in the Dricus fight. And I think Izzy's just going to outplay him at range. I know it's easy to say, but I'm sorry. I don't see really a knockout here. Imavov's too durable. I think maybe Imavov will get a round or two off him, but I just think Izzy's going to outplay him at range. And I think that Imavov is going to really struggle, actually, to land big on Izzy and to take him down.
I agree, and I also think there's a lot of things you have to take into account here. I think Adesanya is a very overrated boxer. I think Imavov's boxing is as good or better than Izzy's.
I would say it's better probably by like a little bit.
By a little bit. I think that his grappling is better, and I think that if he was able to put all these things together really well, he could beat Izzy, honestly.
Yeah.
I just think that a lot of people are comparing him to Dricus when Dricus has something that Imavov doesn't, and that's pressure. Imavov doesn't have pressure.
Insane pressure.
And he never puts pressure out there, really. In fact, if you look at the Duidze fight, the Brendan Allen fight, the Chris Curtis fight, almost any fight he's doing, there's a lot of times where he's just standing waiting for them to do something. And you can't do that against Izzy.
Yeah, that's true.
And I just think that...
He's got that bladed stance, too.
Yeah, I do think that Izzy is not as good in a lot of ways as Imavov is, but I will say, I just think that when Izzy's at his best, it's when he's at kickboxing range from or far, hitting the leg kick, which Imavov is susceptible to by a lot, and then just peppering them from range and setting up something by doing some feints. The reach is also absurd. It's 80 to 75 Izzy. That's just a little rough.
If that's like the real reach,
I just think that Izzy performs best when he's at the kickboxing range, and I don't think Imavov's going to change that. I just don't think he's going to change the range.
To me, like, Izzy has always excelled against beating the all-arounders who are smaller than him. You know what I mean? Like, if you're an all-arounder, you're smaller than him.
He's not that smaller. They must be around the same size.
But the reach is bad, though. Like, he's not that much smaller, but clearly you don't need to be way smaller because, Izzy can somewhat keep up with Alex Pereira, even though Alex Pereira does, outpoint him by a bit. And, like, Imavov just doesn't have that reach that Alex has, so... I don't know, guys. It's a really close one. You really could go either way, and I totally understand why you'd pick Imavov here, especially if you think Izzy's washed up. But the version of Izzy that we saw in that Dricus fight, I thought was really good. I mean, Izzy had never thrown that much in the third and fourth round before. Did it go in the fourth round? I think it did.
We're in the fourth.
He had never thrown that much in the third and fourth round before, and he was landing mean body shots. And I don't know if it'll work against Imavov, but fighters less durable than Imavov and Dricus, I think, are going to be really feeling those body shots if Izzy keeps fighting. And I just think that version of Izzy is good enough to beat him.
I think so. And before we move on to wrapping up the video, I would like to discuss for a quick second. If Adesanya does get the finish here, he needs at least 2 more wins before we even talk about a title shot for him again.
Yeah.
He has gotten 3 immediate title shots against different opponents without getting a win in between. It's been ridiculous.
If he gets 2 brutal KOs, I can see it. But if it's just a classic Izzy decision coast, 3,
2
please.
Brutal KOs back-to-back, really good. Adesanya is looking back to winning ways. Sure.
Yeah.
Give him Hamza, who's probably the champ by then.
Nice.
Let's see.
There you go.
Yeah, make that fight. But until then, no. He's gotten too many immediate title shots. He's 1-3 in his last 4, and that's his record for the last 2.5 years. I think it's time to move on and time to let Izzy actually prove something instead of just handing out everything that he has gotten.
All said.
I'm sick of it. That being said, I'm going Adesanya by classical performance, hitting him pretty good in the first 3 rounds, then staying at range for the last 2, decision. Round 5, I'm going to probably go 4-1 or 3-2. Imavov could scrape together 2 rounds, but I think it'll only scrape together 1.
I will say if Izzy is at his best, 4-1. If Izzy is not at his best, 3-2. You know what I'm saying?
There we go.
Like if he's not as motivated, if he's not as much caring about the fight.
I would want to lean Adesanya by KO because I just think that would be awesome to see him actually get a KO for once and get get back to seeing like that. I don't like Adesanya, but I do like seeing people get cool finishes, and he does. So if he could, that'd be awesome. I just think that Nassourdine does have that chin on him.
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest. The most tested part about him is not even his skill set; it's his durability. So that's like probably the one thing you can count on, but. We'll see.
We'll see indeed. All right, guys, we wanted to stream this card, but it's just going to be too damn early for us.
No way, dude. We're in the Midwest of America. No, thank you.
We are not doing any of that shit. All right. Show a little class, I guess. Leave some comments. Disagree with us, agree with us. Let's go over our picks and see where we're at after the card. We might do a recap on it. We might not, depending on how shit the card is. We'll see.
We'll see.
Like, subscribe, share us around. Stay frosty, guys, and we'll see you in the next video.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.